everyone. Welcome back to another episode. So excited that everybody is tuned in. I love every week bringing you amazing opportunities to learn about entrepreneurs and, most importantly, female entrepreneurs that reside right here on Long Island. So, of course, we are on Long Island business radio stations here, and we love to brand ourselves accordingly. But more important, we are highlighting these two amazing women. So we have with us today Stacy Laridia and Justine Sensi, and the two of you are actually the founders of Stay Well Global. So I know that from prior conversations that we've had, this has been a very trying project, but let's start with the story, because Stacy, you tell it so well. And I think people, especially when given the opportunity to have the conversation now, to start from the beginning, it really adds value to why your product is so important, and especially for our listeners and anybody else that is tuning in. So tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you founded Stay Well Global.
Sure. Okay. So I've been in the nutritional supplement field for a really long time, manufacturing supplements for companies that I worked for or outsourcing to other people who wanted to white label products. So I've been in the industry for a really long time. I've been with a really amazing manufacturer, one of the biggest and best in the country. Lucky to have them as partners in manufacturing. But throughout the years, I was always a little bit frustrated because the bottom line, of course, the bottom line matters to every company and every business. But if it matters so much that it messes with the integrity of the product, that's where, it would kind of drive me crazy. So formulating for other people was always a little bit of a challenge for me because I would try to push to get the best ingredients and the best everything. Some clients and some companies that I worked with were okay with that. Others were not. So I've kind of always wanted to do my own thing and start my own business, but when you're working for other people, you realize how much it is to launch a brand. So I knew that, there were limitations with that. During that process, I was made aware of and became privy to information about research about a couple of ingredients that were really amazing. Back in 2012, I'm just going to do a really quick synopsis, but in 2012, I was commissioned by a company. It's a really large company overseas. I'm not sure if I should say the name, but that's irrelevant. But they wanted to formulate an immune product, and they knew about this specific extract of beta glucan, and they wanted to use only that. And I had never heard of it, and I was in the industry at that point, for years, decades, and I dove into the research, and I was amazed. Cancer prevention and tumor shrinkage and cold and flu prevention. And of course, in this industry, we really can't connect those dots in marketing, but the research was there and they wanted it. And so I had the manufacturer take a license for it. We formulated for them. And I was blown away by how great this ingredient was. I was also really annoyed that nobody here really knows about it. There were a couple of brands that didn't market at all, that were kind of flying under the radar, selling little bits of it here and there. But again, trying to get people to use an expensive ingredient sometimes is difficult. So that was in 2012. 4 years later, my brother was diagnosed with cancer, and he was only 48 years old, and it was fast and furious. He was diagnosed in January. Justine was a part of, she was there, the whole story, actually. So my brother was diagnosed in January. By February, they said he was terminal, no chance for survival. So I had started to give him, I went back to that one ingredient, and it's a specific form of beta glucan that's extracted from the cell wall of baker's yeast. And I went and found, of course, being in the industry, I found the scientists who developed it, the gentleman who wrote a bunch of books on it, Dr. Bitveka. He's in Czechoslovakia now, but he was here in the States at the time. I found him, and I found the person who developed the processes to extract it in this specific way that it's more bioavailable. So I went to them and said I wanted to buy it in bulk from my brother, but did they have anything stronger? And they did. So they had the way that it's extracted. If you look at and beta glucan is always healthy, right? Like we grew up with it on the Cheerios boxes, because it's in oat bran, it's in oats, it's in mushrooms, it's in barley, it's in yeast, it's in some forms of sea algae. So all forms of it are healthy. It's kind of like vitamin D. It's in the sun, it's in milk, it's in luncheon, it's in so many things. But this specific extract was so strong, and all of the research that had been done was on this specific extraction processes. So I went to them, I got that extract, and I was giving my brother 2,000 milligrams every single day. He survived, and I'm not saying he just survived because of the beta glucan. And I'm not anti-medicine. I'm not anti-medical doctors. I'm not, to me, I believe in trying to do everything you can to build your own system to be able to fight things and prevent things. But then when you need it, of course, that saved my brother too. At the time, nobody would touch him. He was deemed terminal. They wouldn't do radiation. They wouldn't do anything to try to save him. And we found one husband and wife doctor team, Heather and Noah Zinkin. So I'm just going to give them a shout out because they're amazing. And she knew he was actively dying at that point. And the only way to save him, the Hail Mary, was to do radiation. So the radiation did stop the tumor from shedding, and it saved him at that moment. But it was the combination of that and the beta glucan and all the other ingredients that I was giving to him to build his immune system so he'd be strong enough to fight. Because at that time he was septic. He had every infection known to man. His body, the cancer was ravaging his body. And, it kept him well enough that he was able to tolerate the treatments and to be able to get through that. And Justine and my other partner, Doreen, have both had cancer. Justine had cancer a few times before we met. We've met 16 years ago now. So she had a few different types of cancer, sadly. Like sometimes if you are prone to cancer, you have the abnormal cells, your body is kind of having trouble fighting. We all have cancer cells in us. We all have abnormal cells in us. It's what's going to light them up, what's going to prevent it. And so Justine was diagnosed right after my brother, actually around the same time.
Yeah.
And so I started giving her the supplements. Our other partner, Doreen, had breast cancer. And at that time, of course, I didn't sell it. And I kind of vowed at the time not to sell it because I wanted to force people to take it. And I felt like if I sold it, people would think I'm just doing it to make money and not help them. And so I kind of forced it on all of my friends and family and their friends and family and anybody that was sick.
And paid for it all. And
I was
it's
just
a cheap product. It's an
right.
expensive product, and she was buying it in bulk and giving it to everyone.
Yeah, because I just wanted to help my friends and family. And so I did kind of at that time, I vowed not to sell it because I didn't want to sound like a snake oil salesman. I just wanted people to try this ingredient that I knew could help people. So flash forward to a year and a half ago, and so then in between all of that, then COVID hit, right? And everybody was sick, and I was popping it like crazy. I was giving it to them. I was giving it to my kids, and my husband, who doesn't take anything and is D deficient. COVID came into our house because, we owned a business in Manhattan. Of course, March of 2020, it hit us. My husband was sick for 8 months, and my kids and I came through our house 2 or 3 times. We were fine, like knock on wood. I mean, we were positive. I had a little bit of a cold, but really nothing because my immune system was strong, and Justine too.
Same.
So
Yeah.
after COVID, I didn't work during COVID. Supply chain shut down. It was a nightmare. This is a business show, so I can say that everybody knows, anybody running any kind of business with supply chain, it was a nightmare. So I had to go back to work. I was like, without a salary for a few years, which I'm not used to. And it was Justine and Doreen who said, we really need to bring this to market. If you're going back into the nutritional world, we need to get these products out there that helped us. And so they actually became the founding partners and investment partners. And because you can't, the ingredients are expensive. And again, the integrity of the brand was really important to me. We went to a few investors, a few people had offered us money. They wanted me to use cheaper beta glucan. And if you look, just for the people that are listening right now, if you go into any store and you see, or online and you search it out, just make sure that you investigate what type specifically it is, because there's so many and they're not all up to par. They're not all the same standard. They're not all done with the same research. And the extraction process, like I said before, when they first extract any kind of a raw ingredient, there's kind of like if you want to look at it like a pyramid or a triangle, the first extraction at the top is the most pure, most bioavailable. What we are using is called 300 beta glucan. It just happens to be the most pure form of it, and it is outperformed. And in that same triangle, the one from 2012 is kind of in the middle. It's fantastic. It's still great. It's helpful. You would have to take 10 of those to our one pill for hours. So it's just that ours.
Like I can sit here, we've had these conversations, and
I
again,
know, I'm so sorry. It's redundant for you to hear this again, but
everybody
you know,
listening, I just want to remind everybody, we are currently speaking with Stacy and Justine, two of the three founding partners of Stay Well Global. So
yes. So
I love the story, but
that's kind of,
there's
that was the inception and
yeah,
the catalyst for the brand.
there's so much more. Let's talk about the manufacturing, right? You and I, we've had some of these conversations. You've identified the product, you know what you need to do. One of your unbelievable strong pushes right now is for people to understand the difference between your product being sold in glass bottles versus other products that are being manufactured in plastic. Let's have a conversation about that. What does your research show, and why is it so important that your clientele understands that is something that you are sticking with?
Yeah, that is, it's actually one of the biggest mission statements that we have. And especially if, if we're telling people that we are going to be the premier nutritional supplement company that they can trust, and we're saying that we're a wellness brand, you cannot really, in my opinion, you cannot say that you're a wellness brand and be selling your products in plastic, because all of the research shows that plastic is damaging. We've known this for a long time, and people have known it, that it's in our bodies, right? But just recently in 2022 and 2023, studies came out that showed it's in our bloodstream, it's in our lungs, it's in our brain, it's throughout our bodies. And every American, it's not all over the world, but we're one of the worst, the countries that we just consume so much of it. Every American has at least a credit card size of plastic in their bodies at all times. And they're dubbing us now like this first generation of kids, plastic people, right? When we had our kids, we were proud, they're the first generation of plastic people. Everything used to be in glass. Milk, you'd have milk in cartons or in glass. When I was growing up, there was no such thing as plastic water bottles. We drank from the faucet or Perrier or Pellegrino or something that was in glass. Everything we touch now is in plastic, from the baby's bottles to the inserts to the formula that's coming in plastic to the supplements that we take. And our whole microbiome system is like, it's just wreaking havoc on it. And the other part of the problem is it's estrogen producing, hormone disrupting. So a lot of gender issues, a lot of things that are happening, infertility issues. There's so many issues now related directly to plastic exposure, and the studies now are out. So it used to be, quote unquote, granola people, nuts and berry people, crazy people like me that was shouting it from the rooftops and trying so hard to get even my clients in the supplement world to not use plastic, and nobody would listen. There's a few old tried and true brands like Solgar, that are in glass. But now with us, we have the ingredients that matter, right? So now we're putting these premier ingredients into bottles. There was no way we were going to use plastic. And we had to turn down, there was one investor, he's been close to me for a long time. He was offering us money. We couldn't take it because especially for the children's product, right now we're developing a children's gummy, and try to find plastic-free packaging for kids, especially with child-resistant tops. We were just at a packaging place for 6 hours 2 weeks ago trying to come up with solutions. That company, NewGen, by the way, is amazing, and they're trying to do the right thing. But it's hard. And so we have to run extra stability testing. It costs a lot more money. It takes more time. But at the end of the day, we're not putting healthful products into something that's unhealthful. And anybody that tells you that plastics don't leach, like, do some research. And that's the thing, like, it's hard for us to say these things because those industries that we're going up against are huge. But I'm just imploring any listener to just Google it. just and take a little bit of a deeper dive. Do plastics leach into supplements that are in plastic? Do plastics leach if you put something on a hot tarmac because you're fulfilling out of, let's say, Arizona or Florida? You can't say that the ingredients are not going to leach from the plastic, especially if you throw something like an ascorbic acid or vitamin C or something like that in, it'll come right into your product. And so it took a long time and it took a lot of money to get where we are, and especially right after COVID and supply chain and the manufacturer that I use, I've been with, like I said, for 20 something years, and they're fantastic, but they said to me, you're never going to be able to get blue glass. It's just going to be impossible. We got blue glass. Like
Just tell her it can't be done
Oh.
and it get done.
yeah,
Yeah.
but we did.
A little type A. That's okay.
A little bit.
Titch.
Yeah.
Just a titch.
And we actually had, arguments about it with the manufacturer because they said, we are going to get it done and we're going to do it the right way. And that's why if you just go into any store, any drugstore, any pharmacy and health food store, and you look in the supplement aisle and it's a sea of plastic because it is difficult to do the right thing, but they should be doing the right thing. And I can almost guarantee, because the studies came out, the new studies only a year and 2 years ago about plastics, that they found it in the bloodstream, and the negative ramifications to our health are now all coming out because we know now that all health relies on a healthy gut, right? And if your gut microbiome is disrupted, that's where serotonin and dopamine and all your immune system, everything is regulated from your gut. And so if you throw a bunch of microplastics in your gut and it's disrupting all of that, you're not going to be healthy mind or healthy body. So
Let me ask you this question because I love this topic and we could do this all day.
yeah,
And I think it's just important also for the listener. Is it a supply chain, glass is hard to get, or is it really the difference of a price point? And you have industries that are more concerned with bottom line than they are producing a good product.
100% that. So the supply chain is slowed down because not enough people are ordering, right? So if you're having, tons of cargo ships of people sending glass bottles over, the price would go down, right? Plastic is cheap for sure, we know that, but it's easy. The glass is heavier to ship and it's breakable, so nobody wants to touch it. The manufacturer's eye roll when you say you're going to run plastic. Some don't even use glass on their floors and you have to use a co-packer. Some manufacturers do, most don't. They don't want to touch it. Plastic's not going to break. It's not going to have any liability issues for them. The waste is less with plastic, so it is a bottom line issue. But at this point, the health ramifications are so much worse that now we know, and there's proof that it's not okay, that companies are now scrambling. And when we were at the plastic company, and we just came from supply side in Las Vegas, I can tell you that by next year, a lot of the biggies are going plastic free because consumers are now angry and they're starting to speak up. And there's people like Callie and Casey Means who are all over now spreading the word about real science. I mean, she's a Stanford educated, surgeon. And so now we have backup and we have research that we can point to. So some of the larger companies you're going to start seeing switch over. Really, glass is tough. So some are going to aluminum, but there's a lot of that's going to be a tough sell for some consumers because they hear aluminum and right away they think of obviously dementia, cancer, Alzheimer's. However, they are making great coatings now for some of the aluminum products that are cancer free. But as a business, to spend marketing dollars on customer acquisition when you have to explain that to them is tough. So glass right now is the safest bet, not only for people's health. There's no transfer of any negative substance into your product, but also the earth, it turns to sand, right? So it's not, aluminum is also infinitely recyclable. So that's definitely something you're going to be seeing a lot more of in the next.
Call a happy medium, right? Like going to aluminum might be, might more or less become, a happy medium. Some of the
Yeah, and I think it will. And I think a lot of companies are going to go that route, and more manufacturers here in the States are working with aluminum. We have a friend that's an engineer. He's stockpiling aluminum because he knows what's happening, and I want to get him to manufacture some models. And, there are big companies that are out there that are doing it. That's great. And they've run stability testing, and there is no transfer of any of the aluminum into the products because of the coating. The old-fashioned coatings used to be carcinogens, but now they have things like with beeswax and all different types of things that are safe. But let them kind of
It's
push
kind
that
of a
out
wait and see.
and do the
Yeah.
marketing, and we'll use glass for now. And we are right now sourcing because, again, for the environmental purposes, any single use product still has a negative carbon footprint that you want to fix, right? So we are now sourcing biodegradable pouches that we can do for refills, but we have to run stability testing on that, which is again why companies don't want to have to do that.
We have Stacy and Justine with us right now. Ladies,
Yes.
let's jump in. Let's go with another topic. We
Okay.
know you have an amazing product with Staywell Global. And again, everybody can visit staywellglobal.com so that you could take a look at the products. So right now you have to market 3 products. Tell us a
So,
little bit about each one of those products and
okay.
who is the appropriate person, right? That your target market.
So it's interesting because a lot of brands that I've been involved with throughout my career, we had a specific target, right? We would zero in. With both of our first 2 products that we launched, it's amazing because it's kind of hard to cast a wide net, right? It's because one is for the immune system, to build the immune system, and the other is for stress and anxiety. So we thought actually originally we thought that the stress and anxiety would be for a lot of older people, for parents, for people that work, that we have to pay bills, we have kids going to college, we have all these stressors. COVID hit, people weren't working. But interestingly enough, the teen market, sorry, somebody just came into my food pantry. Hi, that's okay. The teen market, we've had a lot of amazing testimonials and college age kids, a lot of parents buying for their college age kids because, stress and anxiety in that demographic has skyrocketed since COVID. I mean, it's COVID, it's the plastics, it's all of, the environmental toxins, it's the phones, it's social media. And so that demographic has skyrocketed, like for wanting relax. And the immune, we're seeing that more the older demographic is buying that, heads of households. They're giving it to their kids, they're giving it to their parents, they're buying it for family members. So it's interesting. It's really gender neutral and age neutral in a way. We fully developed a children's product now. We're going to be running that in gummies. We're not going to be launching that until the summer because of the packaging issue, because we need to do plastic-free packaging and we have to run stability to make sure that biodegradable pouch is going to keep the integrity of our product. So we have to put it in a chamber for 4 months with heat and humidity and all the stability testing that needs to run. So the Relax product, I didn't talk about that, but that basically was also formed for people that I love. Somebody very close to me was suffering with depression, and it was fast and furious for somebody that was happy-go-lucky their whole lives. And he hit a wall of depression right before COVID and throughout. And so I brought him to every doctor. We went to a psychiatrist. They tried him on 2 different medications. He didn't feel like himself. He had insomnia. He had other side effects. He was a mess. And so tapped into my friends in the industry, some formulators, actually his psychiatrist and his psychologist, and put together a regimen of supplements that I gave to him every day, put it in a shake. He took it. I was giving, separate capsules and buying all these separate ingredients, and it worked. And, he went off all medication before that and didn't want anything. And so I started giving it to all of our kids. We all have teenagers. They were all going through that and all had stress and anxiety during COVID and that whole time period, and then going back to school, and they were all a little bit off, to be honest. So started giving it to friends, that combination, and that is what is now in our product, Relax. And the frustrating thing about it is that it's hard. We wanted to go retail with that, but we couldn't, because if you look on any shelf in any store right now, there's a ton of products that say calm or relax or stress relief. And if you look, turn it around and look at the ingredients, maybe it has magnesium, some have magnesium and L-theanine, some are ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is fantastic, but none that have all 6 ingredients that we have in ours. So we have GABA, ashwagandha, L-theanine, holy basil, and a small nootropic blend. And every single one of the ingredients that we use are the tried and true brand names that are attached to the actual research. So our ashwagandha is sensoril, our holy basil is Holixer. Like, we're using the best ingredients. And, it's $57 retail. So people, they see ones on the shelf that are $22, but turn around and look at the back of the ingredient. I had a friend, I was over at my friend's house, and she has a lot of stress and anxiety, and I gave her a bottle, and she's like, oh, that's great, but I don't have to take it because I'm taking most of these ingredients. She opened up her cabinet, she was taking all of them, and if you add each ingredient up, it's over $150 separately to get the ingredients that are in ours for 57. So it's a hard sell in that way, because people think, oh, I could go get Calm for $22.
Right, but she didn't even take it because there were so many steps to the
So,
process, and she was like, "It's not even working." We're like, "Because you're not even taking
right,
it."
and who wants to take
You know,
seven
what happened?
7 capsules every day when you can take 2 of ours? And the testimonials and the reorder for Relax are a lot higher for Immune, even though Immune is our passion project because we want people to be well,
And stay well.
physically, and stay well and prevent cancer recurrence and all of those things. Relax, when people take it within a few days, really, it says 2 weeks for our medical director too says 2 weeks for your neurotransmitters to kind of regulate, to lower your cortisol, lower your stress hormones, and kind of be more balanced. Takes you from like a 12 on the stress level down to like a 2. It's not a medication. There's no side effects. You're not groggy. There's no hangover effect like, melatonin. Not that melatonin is bad. It's great for people who have insomnia, but every ingredient is beneficial. There's nothing in it that has any kind of a negative reaction. So
What you're doing is you're providing all natural ingredients. Now, when somebody takes your product, is it in pill format? Is it in shot
yes.
format? Like, let's talk about that.
Right. So it is in pill format right now. And for Relax, people of all ages, it's funny, we were thinking 18 and up. And then our medical director, who is amazing, you have to have him on one day. He is the most incredible human and an amazing doctor. And his background was science and nutrition from Cornell. So he was an Ivy League on the nutrition end, and then he went to medical school. He's a pediatrician and he's dual certified in functional medicine. So he's like a dream partner for us. And he joined Stay Well because he believes in the same mission that we do. But anyway, when we went down to film him, he was giving it to his 13-year-old twins. And I said, oh, is that okay? And he said, absolutely. And she has test anxiety. So she was taking it during the day on test days. And then at night, he was giving her 1 capsule at night. And then only on a test day, he would give it to her during the day. We found that other people, some of our customers take it during the day that have severe anxiety, and it helps them. I'm not supposed to say the word anxiety, but stress, people that have stress that need to feel a little bit calmer, take it during the day. But most people take 2 at night before bed, and it helps you sleep better. You wake up feeling fine and refreshed. You're not hungover like some of, a sleep aid. But over time, it's not like it's popping like a drug that makes you feel like
Not
tired or
yourself.
not
Right.
yourself. It isn't. But over time, because it regulates your neurotransmitters, you just start to feel better. And so once people take that, they feel a difference and they reorder. So customer compliance is a lot better with that. Immune, you don't feel any different. But when you're exposed to something and everybody else is sick for weeks and you're sick for a day, so it's something that you're supposed to take preemptively, right? It's to keep you well so your body and your immune system can fight off the viruses that are going to come your way anyway. But it's not something that, oh, now I'm sick, let me pop one. It's not cold medicine. It's building your own immune system. So
I again love, you and I have had so many conversations over the last several months, and it's very interesting because it's not a space that I normally work in, right? But it affects everything that we do on a day-to-day. So with that,
Yeah.
again, we are speaking with Stacy and Justine, two of the founders with Stay Well Global. While you are listening, if you are on a device, as long as you're not driving in the car, stop and look at their website, stayglobal.com. So let's jump into our final segment of today's show. You know, being a business owner is challenging, and being a creative like yourself, and you know, I almost feel like because you have so much knowledge, it actually makes you more, you know, more powerful, right? Because you have a voice, because you have something to compare it to. You are not a creator or an inventor of a product just because there was a very specific mission. So as a entrepreneur, where you went from working for somebody else to, you know, being your own inventor, creator, CEO, CFO, all of the pieces, let's talk about those challenges and then see if maybe any of our listeners, you know, are interested in getting on board to support your initiative.
Thank you, Rhonda. That's amazing. It has been a challenge. Being self-funded, I'm not gonna lie, is, it's great because we get to make those decisions about the product that I really wanted to, and that was really important to do so. But now that we want to, because we really just did a soft launch, basically to build testimonials and see how people liked it. But now we really need to spend money on marketing to get it out there to more people. And also, we really want to bring to market the one, I think you had mentioned, like the third product, which is just a pure form of just that beta glucan in higher doses for people that are sick, the people that have cancer, people that need an immune boost, that can't get sick because they're taking care of other people. And now we're at the point where we need to take in an investor or a group of investors for that reason, because we need to bring that to market and it's expensive, and for marketing purposes. So it's hard. We've walked away from now 3 different people because either they said that they wanted us to use the cheaper beta glucan, they weren't on board with the plastic free, they were fine with the adult plastic free, but not the children's. They didn't want to wait for us to run stability testing. So it's been challenging, and it's also challenging because it really is just us, and we're trying to wear every hat, and it's difficult because we're not funded. I'm used to working for a company like, oh, we'll just call legal. Oh, we'll just do this. And hiring marketing companies, with a 25,000 a month budget, and you're going to be a rock star, So for us doing it grassroots it's been difficult. And now we're ready to blow it up. And so, we've kind of worked out all of our kinks. We're working on the packaging. That'll be ready by May. So we really need now to take in money to be able to bring those other products to market.
So if we have an investor that's listening right now and they said, look, I'm interested in supporting your initiative, getting on board, how would you describe where their money is going? Have you taken time to kind of say, look, we have some investors we've spoken to, they want their dollars just to go to market research or just to go to marketing? Have you thought about it?
We have, and in fact, we have a few different budgets. We have a high, medium, and a low. The first and the most important is for more inventory. So inventory and marketing, and inventory is expensive, but our margins are great. They really are. So, 100,000 in gets 500 back, in product sales. So it's one of those things. But in order to sell the product, we need marketing, right? So the biggest part of the budget, what we're looking for right now, luckily, whoever invests doesn't have to spend on product development, which takes 2 years and is extremely expensive, because we've done that. So the research is there, the background is there, the manufacturing is there, kind of everything.
Part is done.
Yeah, it's at the point where it's kind of turnkey. Somebody comes in, they invest, and we're running. The high end of things, or a separate investor can come in for research. We actually have a meeting with somebody. We just haven't been able to get it together to meet with them, but they're interested in funding research at Cold Spring Harbor Labs, and even if it wasn't, of course, that would be brilliant. And especially with our immune product, because the combination of hobamine, beta glucan, and vitamin D together is a killer. It's a powerhouse. So we want to do allergy testing, we want to do immune function testing, but testing any ingredients, it's $250,000 investment. That said, if somebody wanted to invest in just that portion of it or invest in us as partners and help fund the research, they would make a lot of money on the return, right? Because we could publish those studies and they would be on our specific brand, not just the ingredients. So we are looking for two different types, or one, if you find the perfect investor that would want to spend a little bit on research, but primarily for the most part, it's, for manufacturing of more of our own products and for marketing. We just had a celebrity, we had an opportunity to sign with a celebrity endorsement, but we would have needed a lot more inventory than we have right now to be able to sign on the dotted line, because if they started running that campaign, we'd be out of inventory and there's an 8-week lag time to get more. So we need to kind of stockpile inventory before we can run with a big marketing push. So the budget is set for that, and we do have a budget in mind. So high, medium, low, 500,000 is the low end, because a lot of it is being spent on inventory. But then that investor also knows that their money is, there's a tangible asset for that investment, right? Like, we have 500,000 of inventory right now. So their investment would be safe, because right now we can back it with the inventory we have. And any more they're spending it on an asset that can be sold. So
If you can look back, to day one, what do you think you may have done differently?
Chosen people that we worked with more carefully, which now we are super careful on, which is why we love you, Rhonda, because you're tried and true. And we had right from the get-go an experience with an attorney who was falsely representing himself, who, he just caused us a lot of grief. So now, so I think just really that, as far as the products, the product development end of things, the ingredients we chose, that we stuck to our guns about the glass and everything else, I think I wouldn't change any of that. The only thing I would change, and I'm glad that we walked away from the investors that we did, and that it's just us now, that we made all those decisions that we needed to, the way that we knew to keep the integrity of the brand. It's just getting involved with certain people who weren't trustworthy. So now we vet everyone, like fully vet and check out, and we're reticent to sign any contracts with anybody now. And we look through every single thing with a fine-tooth comb with a better attorney, and so just that. But now where we are right now, I think we're in a good place.
Amazing.
Yeah. And Justine always says, because it was a lot of grief dealing with people that weren't trustworthy and getting away from them and separating from that. But she was right in that it's better to get rid of the people that were dragging us down before we did the big launch. And you learn a lot.
We're supposed to be.
Right. And it's a pivot. Derek Faye just talked about that. And I saw it the day we were talking about it. In business, and for any entrepreneurs that are listening, there are challenges and there's a lot of hard things, but as long as you stick to the integrity of what you're building and you build that foundation with something that's great, and and for us, it was a passion product. We both of these, we wanted to create, and really it was Justine and Doreen that pushed, let's bring this to market. It's really unfair that more people don't know about these things. The one for Relax, there's people that are out there suffering every day with depression, with anxiety, with stress, that don't know where to go. They don't know where to turn. I was one of them, and I was in the industry, and I was giving my son, because like I said, I'm not anti-pharma. I tried medication, didn't work. These worked. And so you go from seeing somebody that was happy-go-lucky to unhappy back to being normal again. It was like, we have to get these out to more people. And so I think the challenges were tough, but the reward will be that eventually we'll have a lot more people being healthy because of what we're doing.
Love it.
And so,
Anyone wants to get in touch with you, whether they're interested in your product, we know we can send them to the website, but can they also go to the website if they want to contact you, maybe if they have questions about getting involved and learning more about the business?
Yes, there's, I think, this is going to sound funny, I don't know. I think there's, for marketing and press inquiries, for investor relations,
There's a bunch of
and we're a startup. So really Justine reads every email that comes in anyway. She's so great. And so if anybody emailed just any of the emails that are available on the website.
And we're both Justine at StableGlobal.com, and she's Stacy at StableGlobal.com. Doreen is Doreen at StableGlobal.com. It's very simple. It's
I
easy
love
to
it.
find.
Well,
It's
ladies,
easy to find us.
thanks for joining us today. It has been so exciting. I love listening to your story and your journey. And, hopefully I'll see you too soon. Otherwise, stay tuned. We're getting ready to bring you information on next week's episode.